Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. Today I have some pretty exciting updates for the Dark Souls Re-Remastered mod. We find ourselves in Anor Londo, where I'm doing more surface work. This time, instead of specular maps specifically, I basically found out, thanks to trivia and Magpie, they were helping me a little bit with understanding normal maps, more so. And trivia obviously just has insane texture knowledge in general, which is pretty much indispensable for me, but also showed me the program called Crazy Bump, which can generate normal maps, height maps, specular maps, all kinds of things. Unfortunately, it's abandonware, which is weird, but basically what it does is it allows me to generate a normal map for like this wall here, and it basically has a lot more depth than it usually does, and it's just by the texture itself, the normal map, and it's still completely flat. So it's one of the most like efficient ways of adding seemingly geometric density when you're just absolutely not. I did also mess with the specular map on it to give it a little bit of detail and shine-ish, just enough, but not like the entire brick. So I've been sort of messing with that as well, learning a bit more. This tile, I need to actually still look at the specular map for this tile that I messed with, but the normal map now has like actual imperfections on it, and so it's less like perfect. I'm still going to mess with that as well, as I want to see if there's more I can do there. But let's head up here into Anor Londo and the ONS boss room, because that's where there's some really sick upgrades. I haven't messed with this floor, as I actually found this normal map and specular to be pretty good after I did I edited the specular. But so now with that wall change, you'll see it actually also extends out to here, and you get this really gorgeous looking, personally, I think so, geometric density look, or just depth to this texture, where before Anor Londo was very flat. I think it was decently good looking, but it was flat, and there was no like appearance of depth on any of the textures. So that's certainly been some of the work I've been doing. But that's what I love, is they reuse this texture so many places. So by changing just that one, you'll see it's used, on this back wall, and then it's used on all these walls here, and it just adds a bunch of depth to the scene that I love. So simple changes like that, but I'm having a ton of fun just increasing surface detail, and I'm gonna go like surface by surface, and it's a super manual process, so it can take a little while. But yeah, I haven't messed with this elevator floor, since it's pretty much meant to be like very perfect, like ornate, flat marble. So for me, I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to really touch that normal map, because I don't know, I think it looks good as it is. And so this floor is fine. I did mess with this texture here, and that now it has a more rough quality to it, as people before in some of the comments, and they were right, it was a little too, I think it was a little too shiny and smooth feeling, and so this one, it's a little bit rougher, because I think that is what the initial like texture looked like, is it was definitely had a rough feel to it. And that's kind of what you're doing with this texture work, is you're trying to look at what was originally there and originally done, and then kind of suss out what would they have originally intended had they not been limited by 2011 standards or 2010 standards when they were developing this game. And then QLock, when they did the remaster, they kind of touched some of the texture work, like some were more high resolution, some had better normal maps, but it varied quite a bit. So it is thanks to QLock's work that I can do some of these changes, right? Like, so I do have to give them credit for that. Certainly the move to DX11. Oh shit. Also, these guys, quick note, they are using physics on their cloth, and it's like one of the only enemies I've ever seen in the game that uses physics on the in any way on the cloth on their armor. And so my idea is like, okay, well, if they can do that, why can't I add cloth physics to this cape? So that's certainly something I do want to look into. Are you guys going to follow me in here? Hell yeah, you are. Okay, dog. Don't be like that. Alright, let's go time. Okay, well, pretty sure I meant to roll on that one. Didn't happen. Okay, well, I was hoping that shield smash was not. Alright, textbook move there, textbook move. We're going to go two-hand. Oh, I'd love to see it. Oh, don't be like, you would. I don't know what that spell's called. Isn't it like reject or something? Oh, are you going to walk back? That's what I thought, bitch. That's what I thought. Nope. No, he wants more. He wants the smoke. He changed his mind. He heard me talking shit, to be honest. I think that's more so what happened. Oh, you have your follow-up? Okay, thank God you stepped forward on your follow-up a bit. Dude, I have like a fully upgraded weapon. And you guys still have an absolute shitload of health. Okay, well there's finally the stagger. But yeah, see how the cloth actually moves. It's not great cloth physics. Like, obviously there's way better. But I think it's still an upgrade over having no cloth physics. I only want to add it to the player character, realistically. Like, that's all I want to do. But anyway, here you can see I've added light shafts through these windows, which I always wanted to do because I figured like that's where the sun's coming in. And once again, this is the light shaft. I say this every time. This is the light shaft I stole from Oscar's room in the Northern Undead Asylum. And I ripped that out, made it its own map piece, and then here I scaled it up and then copied it like, you know, 2 times here, 2 times here, 2 times here, 2 times here. And I scaled it up by like 10 times because it was pretty small in Oscar's room. And yeah, it works fucking great. Like, it's a pretty subtle effect because I can mess with the lighting settings for it. And I was trying to make it be subtle, but also noticeable, but not like so much that it would take away from an ONS boss fight. Like, that's why you're there originally, to do this. But you'll see in here they also have the updated texture work, or the normal map on that. I have looked at the floor, and I added sort of surface depth to this floor texture. And so it just, because before it was just 1000% flat, like it was just, there was just nothing. And so I just wanted to add a little bit of depth, just a little bit. Nothing that's too insane. And then the specular, I've gotten better at basically painting on very slightly the shininess that I want. And once I found out the specific color that they use, and then this marble here, this texture originally was very grainy. It was grainy. It was also 256 by 256. Insanely low resolution. It's crazy. I don't know why they were using something so low resolution here, and QLock didn't fix it. So basically I had to run this through, or convert it to PNG, the texture for this specific thing, use Photo AI by Topaz, and you know, I had to basically denoise it and then upscale at the same time, and I think we got it up to like 1K resolution. And then the specular map, I ended up removing some of the surface detail from the specular map, which I might have to redo some of that, but now you'll see it's actually communicating that it is a smooth surface. It is a smooth marble-like surface, which is what I wanted it to be and what I assumed it was by the look. But before it was grainy and had no specular response at all and nothing. So to me, that's a big upgrade. I also upscaled these little pillar floor piece, because the actual pillar itself gets destroyed by SMO, right? But the actual like bottom part here was super low resolution, so I had to upscale that. And then I added just a little bit of shine to it, just a nice little, because I always feel Anor Londo is sort of shiny to a point, right? I think that's something that is just a personal opinion, of course, but I've always felt that it is. Now this marble texture, was this one updated? Yes, I think this is actually using the same texture as before. Oh no, actually this is a different one. Ooh, I like this one though. See, this one actually has, ooh, I might have to steal this normal map and use it back on the other place. Maybe, partially. Because you can see, look at all these surface imperfections that you can see on this texture work that otherwise would not be seen, but because there's this specular map that you can sort of follow, you can actually see all of the surface imperfections that normally go completely unnoticed, but that's how it should work, right? And yeah, that's what I really like. Which, oh shit. I heard that Black Knight. Now this floor, is this a different, I wonder if this is a different marble texture. Because it doesn't seem to have much of a response to it. Interesting. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, some nice upgrades. Like, I think this boss room just looks fucking awesome right now. I think I need to add more to I can add more light shafts to the top level. I haven't really messed with that too much. I guess there is a bonfire up there. We can go up there. I think there's some light leakage that's happening, like, with the specular, more so than anything. In that, like, I've blocked off the light from coming in here, but you can see that there's, like, on the specular portion of the texture here, it seems to be letting some light in or something. So you can see this floor up here already got upgraded because it was the same texture. And I believe it uses the same stone texture up here. I haven't actually gone up here yet. Ooh, I do like how the bonfire responds to the new normal map and a little specular change. Oh, that's so nice. That looks sick. Oh yeah, I forgot to ever go back to Guinevere up there and tone her down just a little bit. She's a little bit bright. I always forgot to do that. That was ages ago. And so next thing, which is the last thing actually, is in Firelink Shrine. I was kind of going back there, I think, last night before I went to bed. And I was like, oh, okay, let me do some more normal nap. Or normal nap? I would like a normal nap. Took one yesterday, actually. But in here, I only touched a couple textures. But there is one that is particularly noticeable. It is... yeah, so it's actually this, like, cobble-looking stone pavement kind of thing. Before, it had basically no depth on it at all. Like, it had nothing. It was just the flattest texture you've ever seen. And yeah, actually, we'll go to my Twitter feed because I'll just look at the comparisons there. It's a lot easier. I posted a lot of... follow me on Twitter if you don't, because you'll see a lot of update pictures of the mod. Kind of spoils what you'll see in the videos probably, but you know, obviously I go more in depth in the videos than I go here. I think the other texture that was touched here is actually the brickwork. Yeah, you can actually tell a pretty big difference between like the surfaces that are not touched and then the one that is the stone texture work that's in the middle of these. Looks way better and has a lot more detail to it than the other textures. So I'm sort of still messing around with updating normal maps here and there because I think they personally look awesome. Like this stone wall right here, oh, it looks so good for how flat it actually is. And it's so flat. But there's a lot of surface detail being communicated that originally was not. So super fun. Let's go to our, I was going to say our Twitter feed, but essentially, yeah, let's open up Chrome and let's just go to my profile. This is a lot easier. I'm going to save myself some time here. I will be making a video on Trivia's DS2 basically preset, and they have textures as well. Because, oh my god, like look at that texture there. Oh my god, I would wish for a texture that looked that good. Oh my god. Okay, that texture there looks bad, but that's not down to her. The preset is really what we're looking at here. the DS2 lighting engine preset. Oh, it looks so good. I posted a video about the cloth physics on there. I guess we can actually make this a little bit bigger. This was me walking around, very proud. That was the light shaft. There's another picture. Stonework. And then here is sort of the comparison you can see. Yeah, so this original texture was grainy as hell. Like overly grainy to the point of like, I don't think you guys meant it to be this grainy. And then I added like the normal map that's based on the albedo texture. So it has like some surface detail and imperfections. I'm going to say surface detail in this video like 5 million times. Here's the best one. So here's the default texture, which was fine. You know, default normal map. And then when you add the increased normal map to it, huge. I'll kind of flip back and forth for you. So that's just massive difference. Not all of them can be that massive, but like that to me was just, oh, huge. And that texture gets used so many places. Oh, I also fixed this. I didn't actually say this in the video. So this is actually how the texture was by default, right outside the Undead Berg bonfire. They literally just had this little cutoff. It's absolutely hideous, because this is the texture they're using on the inside up here, which is fine, makes sense, but on the backside it looks fucking ugly. Like, I can't imagine that the intention was not to use this bottom texture here all the way up to the top. Like, I don't know, to me it was just inexplicable. So what I did is I went into Blender, and I have a little error right there, but I basically, yeah, I got to re-UV map this little area. But to me, it's a huge upgrade for image like coherency, because it's just absolutely hideous. And I've noticed so many of these things throughout Undead Berg that it's just like, oh my god. Also, Cecil decided to take a nap with me, which was great. Oh, I forgot to show this. Oh, this is great. I'm just going to go through my Twitter feed most of the time. So here's your default normal map on this portion of Undead Berg, which looks fine. I think they actually did a pretty good job with this normal map. But when you actually then switch over to my normal map increased version, you can then see that there's just a lot more depth added to these bricks. And so instead of being incredibly flat, there's now sort of this like different shading and depth that's being communicated to the player, and yet it's still completely flat. That's really the whole ball game, is basically doing that. And just adding, because I don't know, actually like remodeling these meshes is outside of my wheelhouse, and it's also, I think you get into weird territory of trying to, that's like whenever they remade Demon Souls. Obviously remaking things from scratch and meshes that were made back in like 2010, 2011, right? That gets into difficult territory of trying to keep the original artistic intent, but also have them be higher poly. And so I think you get into some really tough things. So this is my perfect way for me of seemingly increasing geometric density without actually doing it, and honoring the original mesh work. And all of these normal maps are based on the original texture work. So it's not as if these normal maps are just coming out of nowhere. But yeah, so there's some Twitter updates. I might just do that at the end of these videos, because it just is a lot easier than me. There's no reason for me to cut out all these images and then like edit them in Resolve. I think it definitely is a case of work smarter, not harder. I'll definitely end it with, when you kill a boss in Sekiro after dying 452 times, know your fucking place trash. I love it. It's so true. That game, man, it fucking got me. And I would be so like, oh, I did it. I got it. I'm successful. And then I go, well, yeah, I also tried like 30 times, but okay. Definitely the hardest FromSoft game for me, personally. I know some people disagree in that they go, it's the easiest. And I go, yeah, I mean, it's like if you are a parry god and you've always figured that out, but I had to rewire my brain. So, anywho, thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, I do have a Patreon. I do have a Ko-Fi, Coffee. I don't know how to say it, so I'll say it both ways. Or you can support me more directly if you want. On Patreon, you get ad-free versions of these videos. And I also sometimes will post a mod that isn't ready for Nexus. and I post it on Patreon because I don't really want a ton of people to test it and then get a bunch of reports. So that's a way to support me. Other than that, I appreciate you watching. Like the video, it helps a lot. And subscribe if you haven't already. We're on our way to 7,000, which is cool. And yeah, happy to have you all here. And I'll see you on the next one.